So everyone, thank you so much for the invite for me representing Enterprise Bot and Pedro representing CP to be here to basically give you an overall and some ideas of how our solution came from just a need from CP to an actual, I would say, long-term contract that we have right now with CP that we have had for almost 6 years. So I am Diogo, which I am a CSM and branch representative for EnterpriseBot, and Pedro is also here. He can intervene when he wants, he knows, but after I give a little bit of my overview, Pedro will come in and he'll give his own opinion, his own expertise on the CP side on all of on this entire project. What the solution is we at EnterpriseBot, of course, we do AI virtual assistants. For CP in specific, what they had a need at the time in 2019, when we spoke in Sol Mobility, that was also organized by BTI, it was they had a problem that they had too much incoming requests from the customers, too many queries, too many questions, that was overflowing the agents on their side and making them two things: be very inefficient in terms of handling customer requests and also overpaying the third party company that was handling these requests, meaning that they were paying a lot of money for a third party company to handle their customer support, while that company was at the same time completely inefficient with very high levels of unanswered requests, 60 to 80%, if I remember, of unhandled requests that people would ask and never get a response. So this was the pain point that in 2019 made CP join the Sol Mobility program. And it was, I believe, the pain point that made them choose us as the partner in this program. So basically how this program started was we would all send an application, we would give a pitch, and then the people at BTI would select the startups that they felt were more connected to the challenges that the companies were presented. In our case, we were selected specifically from CP, and we kind of knew that from the start that CP had selected us specifically for the program. So when I arrived in the program, I paid special attention to the CP pitch, because at that program the companies were also giving a speech about what they did and what they were looking for in there. So it started with CP giving a speech and then EnterpriseBot giving a speech, even though we already kind of knew each other's needs. And then it went very quickly from the pitch to CP coming to us and saying, hey, we chose you, we want to hear about your solution. So it was a very good fit that was made in the Sol Mobility program. From then it became, we started understanding CP's challenges. We had a weekly program, I think it was more or less a week, where we had daily meetings with CP, where we were discussing what do you want to achieve, what are your pain points, how can we help. And I was the responsible for that connection. So I went to my team. We developed a pilot, not a pilot at this stage. We developed a small demo to show them, which I believe it's always very important in public companies to show them your solution. You can explain it to them. You can show key metrics. You can show results. You can show your entire PowerPoint slide that you have done multiple times and you already trained multiple times. In the end, you have to give them something that they can feel, that they can see. You need to give them, in our side, we needed to do a small demo showing, hey, you have this problem, here's our chatbot with your symbol, with your colors, with everything, and this is how it's going to look. You need to show them what they need working for them to understand how it can impact them, how it can improve their functioning or solve their challenge. From there on, with this demo and with our discussions, we moved to CP showed very interest in developing a pilot with us, but we needed to agree on the key KPIs and on the pilot pricing. This is always very, very important when you're doing public contracts or public licensing, because it has to be approved always by multiple people, by multiple teams, by tech teams, by people from law, by people from tech, from everywhere. So you need to have the KPIs very clear and very specific. So number one, the client, the public client, is happy with what you're trying to achieve, and you on your side as a startup are also protected, that if you reach those KPIs that were agreed before, then the company cannot say that this was a failure, that the pilot did not achieve what wanted to achieve. If then they move forward or not from the pilot, that's another decision. That's a decision on their end and something that you have to discuss further down the line. But at least if you will achieve the KPIs, you can never say that the pilot was not a success. So be very careful when you're agreeing the KPIs with the companies. Again, mainly because in public companies, you have to get approved by multiple people, and all those people are going to have different ideas on what they want of the project. So be very clear in here on the KPIs. Once this was achieved and signed, then we passed obviously to the pilot stage that went from the end of 2019 to beginning and mid of 2020. And in here, I think the most important part that I got out of it is that the exploration and that the sharing of knowledge was very important, because even though everything was already agreed, then when you are developing something, especially a software that needs to have access to a lot of internal CP APIs and internal CP information, you need to be very cognizant of security. You need to understand, and that's the most important part when developing a solution with a public company. You need to understand what are their needs, what are their rules that they have to follow, because sometimes I understand that sometimes it seems that there are a lot of rules, there are too many rules, there are too much information you need to follow, but the people from the company, in this case the people from CP, they themselves sometimes they agree that it is a lot of things, but they have to follow it. That's what you need to understand. This is, you have to follow these rules. You have to be careful with a lot more GDPR norms, a lot more security rules when you're working with a public company than when you're working with a private company. But once all of that was understood and we shared all the documents and information we needed, it was time for developing, time for training. And then after that, you always, maybe in our case, we didn't usually do that. We usually develop the solution in 3 or 4 months, and then we immediately try and discuss the contract, because we know that CP needs approvals from multiple entities because of being a public company. We made sure to give them more time to test internally, so every single department was okay with what was happening in there. Every single department was happy with what we were presenting. So then we could go for the analysis of the KPIs that were agreed before, and then we could discuss the next steps. In here, discussing the next steps, what I say is discussing if they want to move to a contract and in what terms they want to move to a contract, because there are multiple ways for a public company to move forward a contract with you. In our case, I am under the understanding that it was with a PRR, with the European Union funding, but even then, they had to open a public contest and they had to invite, I believe it's around 5 people that they need to review an analysis of your competitors. So in the end, which is an annoying thing, but it's how public companies work. Even if they are very happy with their solution, they are happy with everything you did, and everything you did so far achieved all the KPIs and all the agreements, they still are going to have to open a public contest, and they still are going to have to go and most likely compare you to competitors, reach for competitors, see their offers, see what they have to offer. So in this part, it's very important that you have a very clear point of contact that understands what was developed, what are the goals, to compare your solution that you've developed so far with your competitors in a fair way. Meaning that they're not just, okay, which one is the cheaper, which is the usual way that a lot of public companies go to. Okay, let's just go for the cheapest one. That's why you need to have someone on the public tender, like I have Pedro, like I have other people from CP at the time, that understood the project, understood what we worked, understood that we worked together towards developing this. And so in the end, it's not just about who is cheaper, it's about who can offer the best relation between price and results. So in the end, we were able to go through that public tender, be the chosen solution. So we signed the contract, the SaaS contract in 2020. And from then on until today, we have been, I believe, a very good partnership. We obviously then you have to work on maintenance, you have to work on analysis, hosting, all of that, but those are just the normal things. And then if you get lucky, and like I did, and if you have someone like Pedro on CP, like I have, who understands not only our solution but understands the needs in CP, you can have someone that helps you grow the solution inside the company, meaning that they understand that, okay, our solution was made for this specific pinpoint, this challenge, but we can do a lot more than that. And that's the process where we are right now with CP, where we are looking into other problems they have inside CP, other challenges they have, and they've even developed with time that they didn't have in the beginning. And we are right now working on obviously updating the solution, because AI has grown a lot and we needed to update our AI to have more solution, more channels, basically grow the solution. And of course, always keep in mind that with public companies, it's not you sign the contract that it's signed. There's always going to be renewal processes that they're most likely always going to have to be public tenders. This then, of course, comes back to you need to have a point of contact in your public client, like in CP, where they understand all the work that has been done, all the work that's going to be done, to make sure that when the public tender is open for renewal, it's not just a matter of who is cheaper, it's a matter of who can deliver what they want. And in the end, this is why we were able to have our chatbot so far, which is the highest accuracy chatbot in Europe. We have around 99% accuracy in all of our responses, barely any error. And it doesn't have any error, but it responds in every single language, which is in the beginning, it's only Portuguese and English. Now it's every single language. And I have the feeling, now I am going to let Pedro speak for a bit, but I have the feeling that both CP has improved with Enterprise Bot, and Enterprise Bot has grown a lot by having worked with CP and having learned what they need and how they work from their side. But I'm going to let Pedro speak now.
Well, I'm Pedro Duarte. I represent CP, and I handle this contract with the Enterprise Bot. I entered after the first contract was signed, around middle 2020, and uh, Enterprise Bot was a fit for what we needed at the time. But we have grown a lot. We have grown to having a chatbot contract, and now we have a knowledge base partnership with the Enterprise Bot. We use the initial chatbot with the Enterprise Bot as a knowledge platform, and we are scaling around 500,000 contacts uh, with this chatbot alone. We are scaling it to a voice bot later this year. We are developing it now, and we are really very, very happy with this partnership and the benefits that brought us. And I think that the main point here, Diogo already said it, is that um, this type of startups and this type of contracts, you need a contact point that understands your solution and that has the liberty to develop the solution that you supply them. Like we had with Enterprise Bot. The bot we had was an intent bot, almost like a clicker bot initially, and now we have an AI bot. And like I said, we'll evolve to a knowledge platform. We are doing an internal bot that it adapts to the functions that we have on our internal client, and we are finishing the development of the voice bot that handles also the calls from our clients. And the main thing here that it helps us having the liberty to develop our solutions and present it inside the company before we can start to contact other vendors also. And the relationship is the most important part. It's the relationship we have with the company and the liberty that the startups and all our suppliers give us to develop a demo, a pilot to show internally and show exactly how it's going to function with to our needs and not only to what you have as a solution as is. You need to adapt it to our public companies. And like you said, it's really hard to to renew a contract, to make a new contract, it's really, really hard. And it is, if you are, like, how can I say, if you have the availability to go through that process and endure the process, because it's a pain, it's really a painful process to deal with. Um, we can have success, and we as CP have contributed to their solution, and Enterprise Bot have contributed to our needs and managed very well our needs. I think we have the best chatbot in 4 years in a row with the best results in Europe. And we are really very, very happy with this partnership. I don't know, Diogo, if you want to add anything. You are
Diogo,
muted.
you're muted.
Yeah, I think Pedro said most of it. I think the most important part is indeed the relationship. You need to have a good relationship with the company. You need to have someone inside the company that you understand and that understands you, that you can have a clear and open communication that will facilitate then all of these pain points that Pedro was saying that are just present in every public company because of the rules and all these norms that need to be followed. Again, if you want to work with public companies, it's something you need to be ready to do. It's not something that anyone can go over. It's not something that anyone can not do. So this strong relationship that you build is very important to help each other go through those pain points.
And really endure the process. You don't have any other way. You just need to handle it and receive as is.